In this winter?
Like real winter.
Yeah, I'm really, this is one of my boringest ones.
You go?
Yeah.
All right. So we've got 3:05, call this meeting to order. And let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is that the agenda there?
It is. It's a packet.
Can I have a roll call,
Did
please?
you get an agenda?
Oh, pass one down, please.
Another one? How many more?
Mr. Gaga.
Here?
I should say Commissioner Noonan.
Here.
Commissioner
many more people
Christensen.
do you Perfect, right? Are you okay?
Commissioner
I'm good.
Aaron's. Commissioner Ferrick. Mr. Popa.
Here.
Commissioner Popa. Commissioner Ross.
Here?
And Commissioner Walter.
Here.
And Commissioner Badoo.
Here.
Okay.
Any amendments to or additions to the proposed agenda? I'm going to add a request by St. Mary's School to utilize Miles Kimberly as they have in the past.
Where are you gonna add that?
That's going to be added under
Action item?
discussion and action items. And then, under the Old Settlers Park Committee, I'm going to add a discussion, we'll talk about the RFP for the gazebo work.
You can do that without changing the agenda.
Charles, I'd like to add something on Old Settlers as well, leased property across the street.
The lease of the property, of course.
There's some issues with possibly a violation of our lease. I just want to bring it to the board's attention.
Any other additions?
Yes, and I'd like to add the discussion about an MMRA RAP grant for Miles Kimberly.
Is that going to be that would be an action item, right?
Yes,
So we'll have to put that
Please.
under, number 4, under discussion and actions.
sure.
Any other adjustments or amendments to the agenda?
You know, if that's gonna be an action item, I'd like to discuss an action item to hire somebody to help Scott with these fences and stuff at Veronica.
Okay. Is that something different than the summer help? That's already up under item 2? John?
Yeah, I think that summer help is to help Scott all summer mow lawns and pick weeds. This is a project.
Specific project.
Okay, so that would be item 5. Help at Veronica Valley.
Yes.
Anything else? Motion to approve the amended agenda?
So moved.
Do I have a
Support.
sec- Motion by Casey, support by Cameron Ross. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We have an agenda. Did anyone have a conflict of interest with any of the items coming before the board today? Hearing none, we'll move on to public comment. Any public comment?
If you sit down, they can hear you better,
Yeah.
Steve, that microphone there. Thank you.
Steve Steyer, Empire Township. I just wanted to suggest that sometime during the near future that this mission would consider revising your mission statement to include education and entertainment in your purview. Thank you.
Any other public?
Yours was really good, Scott. Your microphone was really, that was amazing. Are these new speakers? A little, that's louder. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Danette Caney. I'm the executive director of a nonprofit organization that you have some paperwork in your hand. It's called On the Grandmother Key. Our mission is to connect communities, culture, and the environment for the good of all. I'd like to propose, and I realize this is just public comment at this time, I would like to propose that our organization does a series of workshops at the county parks. And what you have there is a list of what I'm doing in some other places. And this doesn't have to be limited to what we have there. This is a nonprofit. I don't know what questions you might have. Yes.
She spoke at our Veronica Valley one, and I told her it was, you could only comment, and I recommended that we think it's a good plan and that she needs to then be on the agenda for next month and explain to us that, what's your purpose, what are you going to do, how often are you going to come? And it can then have a dialogue, but right now that we can't really, there is no questions, we can't ask. I think she's just saying that she wants to do something, and our advice was to put it on next week's or next month's agenda so that we can go over what she does, and I think it has some good points. This way we can question her.
We
and stuff.
normally get a letter from the organization with essentially a proposal for what you want to do, when you want to do it, where you want to do it, what park facilities would be required for you to do whatever you want to do. And then that request today, I guess, would now go to the planning department.
Well, we can request her to be on the agenda next, and then we'll see whether it goes to planning. But she's got to be able to present something to us next month in a discussion back and forth, and then we can decide what to do after that. But we can't make a decision today to go to planning or anything.
I realize that for today. And in other cases, we have gotten a letter of requesting that someone wants to do something at one of the parks, and then we respond to that letter and get it on the agenda, and then we have a discussion and whatnot.
And she can bring that letter next week, or next month, I guess, and stuff.
Or if she
You wanna
just gets
just
it
email
to
the
Gail
planning
at planning, and she'll forward it to the committee.
So email the friend.
So you would like a letter to the planning department with a list of what I would like to do, what, when, where, how, all that stuff.
What,
Yes, if you could send that to the planning department.
And request to be on the agenda.
Yes.
Thank you.
thank you.
Yes, surely. That's how I got through law school.
Okay. Any staff comments, Gail? Scott? Okay. Ask for consideration of the February 7th meeting minutes. I have a motion to approve the February 7th meeting minutes.
So moved.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving the February 7th meeting minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, unfinished business. We now have the financials for the, through February 29th period. The ones that were in the packet originally were back to January ones again, so you can just ignore those. We already approved those. Any comments, Scott?
No, we're not even at 2% of our budget yet, so not much
Good
really
job.
to say. No big surprises.
I see that the line item for the capital outlays or capital improvements is still only at 55,000 and doesn't reflect any rollover of last year's monies. Does anyone have an update on the status of that?
I sat through the meeting and I still wasn't clear, you guys, to be honest. I'm so sorry, but it just, we talked about it and I don't think there was a motion. Sorry, I meant to look into that before today's meeting, but,
I thought Melinda made a motion that that 55,000 be carried over to this year's budget. And I thought it was passed.
Was it?
I'm
So then,
trying to remember that, I'm pretty sure it was. Because there was a lot of discussion on that.
there was a lot of discussion, I know, and it's terrible.
This was at one of the Board of Commissioners meetings?
It was at
Yeah.
our last meeting.
Was it the last one or one before that?
I can check the minutes
Okay.
while we're talking, sorry, I'm sorry, and I apologize for that.
Okay, otherwise, with that question outstanding, I guess I would accept a motion to approve the financials through February.
So moved.
Supported?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed?
Thank you.
Good job, Scott. You're off to a good start.
All right. The next two things are in the nature of updates without any action necessary at this meeting. The Parks and Rec plan, we have gone around and around, and we've done a lot more research over the last month about what exactly will be required to be in a plan to meet the guidelines and the requirements of the DNR for them to accept the plan to have it be used for us to be eligible for grants. Originally, I was under the using the concept that we were essentially going to go for an amendment to the existing plan and extend that plan out for the next 5 years. The public's input required for an amendment is significantly less than the public input requirements for a new plan. I was incorrect as to being able to go for an amendment. We do need to go essentially for a full-blown new plan. There are multiple ways you can get your public input, but we do have to have a good process to get public input into the new plan. One of the ways is to do a public survey, online survey, paper survey, however that would work to get the public's input for what they see for the next 5-year plan. And there are other things we can do short of doing that type of survey, and we're still kind of researching that. So where I was essentially originally asking for a sole source, well, first of all, I've talked to the Gosling rep a couple of times and gotten a couple of different estimates from him. One which was for the essentially to do the larger scope of work for the full plan, and that came in at a significant number. I then went back and we stripped down the work that Gosling would be required to do, took out any mention of a survey, and he came back with another number, which is still, in my estimation, high, but it's lower than the first number. But that also put in a lot more work on the planning department, because most of the items that he was taking out were items that he would have done them, and that work transferred to the planning department. And that's also not acceptable, to add that workload to the two-person planning department. That being said, we're now going to go through the RFP process and go out for bids to organizations who can do this work, and kind of find out what it'll really cost to get a good 5-year plan done, and get it done hopefully early in 2025. Essentially, our drop dead rate would be approval by the Board of Commissioners at the January meetings, so it can be filed with the DNR by February 1st. So that's my update. And Gail?
Well, I'm still going at putting the RFP out for an update. Because I have no evidence that Gosling Zubeck owns the plan.
I'm having trouble hearing.
I'm still putting the RFP out for an update to the plan. Yeah, I don't know how, I have no evidence that Gosling Zubeck owns your plan.
No, and their last estimate said that he will convert from an Adobe format document that he has to a Word format document for us, but it was at a cost of $1,950.
I'm sorry, that's ridiculous.
I don't, yeah.
Are you sure? I mean, I've been asking around now, and nobody says that that should be the case. We need to find the
Exactly.
contract that
I
we,
can't find the contract, nobody has it.
Laura
Well, they
files.
shouldn't they have a copy of the contract?
I don't know.
We need to get
I
that
found
contract
what I
first.
think could have been the contract that was prepared by Cole Stoker.
Uh-huh.
And so I took that to Administrator Deb Ellen and asked her to send it to Cole Stoker and ask if anywhere in there it says that they owned the plan, and I have not heard back. But nobody can understand where that's coming from.
Yeah,
so.
I've done quite a bit of research on this, and the final word is that's just not how it's done. So I'm not sure
And
this
I know-
Adobe versus Word, that's just formatting, and that's not ownership. So there's,
Yeah. And I know all the maps came from Equalization Department, and
Exactly.
he showed all the maps,
Well,
we've got access to all
We need
those.
to get what they have in a format that Gail can work with.
totally, but we don't have to pay for it. We should
Well, I
not have
think
to pay
anybody
for it.
can work with what we have. Like,
What do
The
you
format-
saying we can work with?
yeah, I don't see
Format
why,
that's in? I don't know.
I don't see why they couldn't.
In the Adobe format, is that what you're talking about, or is it
They
in a?
could, like, export it to a Word doc or something and just,
Do we have it on computer, that plan?
Yeah, we all do.
Oh, then I favor what Gail wants to do, go out for RFP and do it.
but I think it should be an update.
Yes.
Yeah, an update.
Well, I mean,
Not a whole, you're talking about having to do it.
I'm thinking we're still gonna have to put in some more input from the public
Oh, yeah.
than we were
Yeah.
envisioning in that first update.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, it's an update. Essentially, it's gonna take the existing document, update it, and submit it.
There's a process.
But the last, when that plan was created, that was basically a complete redo, and that's where all that money was coming from. We paid a significant amount of money to have that plan done.
Yes. And you brought in Veronica Valley into that plan,
Yes.
which
That
was
was
a
a-
major change for that plan. And now we've got an updated Miles Kimmerly conceptual design to come into the new plan.
Which isn't
Which
overly
is the
hard.
most significant part of it.
We don't need to have them. Oh, it doesn't surprise me. I thought it was ridiculous for what they gave us the first time around, but yeah, and why we can't have the document, or they're saying that they own it is, That makes no sense.
No, it doesn't to me.
Well, maybe the ownership is not the right term. Maybe it's the fact that it's in a format that we don't have the software to do anything with.
But that's.
But
She
Gail
doesn't
said-
have Adobe.
It can be done. I don't understand. It can be done. Somebody can take that and do what needs to be
Convert it
done.
for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's what we would do if we were updating it.
That can be in your RFP. Say, we got such and such and this,
Yeah.
and we want an update. And the guy's gonna come back and say, well, it's gonna cost a couple grand to redo it. Or maybe not. Maybe they can use it with the regular. Do you need a motion for Gail to proceed with this RFP?
I don't believe so.
Can I add one more thing? Again, in Leland Township, and they're just doing the exact same thing that we're doing right now. They have somebody that has expertise and they're doing a survey. It's online right now and you can look at it. It's not that difficult to do. I'm just wondering if that's a huge component and a huge price tag on it. If we could look at it separately, is that possible or?
I think it needs to be all inclusive. Somebody else needs,
All-inclusive.
I've got 3 other
Too much
major
going on?
projects going on.
Okay. Okay. Is Networks Northwest on your list of bidders, your RFP list?
I don't have a list, but I did reach
Okay.
out to them and just try and get an estimate.
Okay. I do want to share, though, that this woman that's trying to redo Leland's, she was looking around and she really thought our plan was very well done. She complimented us on our choice. They use Networks Northwest, and it wasn't half the plan that Gosling's provided, so that was good to hear. Someone knowledgeable saying, we're on the right track, we just have to get the cost to where it makes sense.
And I reached out to Benzie County, and they just recently updated their
Oh, yeah.
plan. They use Networks Northwest, and he said he paid around $10,000.
So quite a bit less.
Yeah.
Did you get a copy of it?
Their plan?
Yeah,
It's online, we can,
yeah, it might be kind of interesting to look at it.
John?
Okay. Our last meeting, we voted to take this to the Board of the Commissioners to sole source it, okay? We passed it here. I don't know what the Board of Commissioners did. So they turned it down. So we need another motion to go to the Board of Commissioners for an RFP, or do we need a motion for an RFP?
well, that's just the process.
Right.
We should have done. So
Now,
I
to
don't
go
think
out
we
They
for-
need a motion
asked
do a
us to do
process.
that, that
Yeah.
was their counter.
I mean,
What's that?
They told us, no, we can't sole source it, we need to,
Have an RFP.
yeah, we couldn't waive the bid policy, we need to do an RFP.
So do we need to vote and say?
I think Gail's right, I don't think so.
No.
I think she's
Okay.
right, yeah.
John?
Rest my case.
Moving on to the next item is the summertime help. And this, essentially, before the Board of Commissioners executive meeting next week, there is going to be a motion to hire a temporary, full-time person in support of the parks, essentially 35 hours a week for 26 weeks during the summer and fall seasons. So that's essentially what's going there. In the past, we've had a temporary part-time person at only 20 hours a week. So this was the change, and John, you made the motion at the last,
And we already passed it.
we've already passed it.
Yeah, so there's
So I'm
already
just
been a
updating you
motion.
on where it's gone.
There's already been a motion to do it, but was it on the agenda or are we short? We didn't get it in time?
No, it's on, it's on the agenda for next meeting,
So
right?
they didn't do it last month?
No, it's going to be on Tuesday's meeting.
I'll have to prepare that then.
What's that?
I'll have to prepare that, see if I can get it on as a late edition.
And we didn't get it on? I thought we made the motion and it was supposed to be a late
Yeah.
addition for the last meeting.
No, when we talked about, you told me we had 4 motions?
Yeah.
It didn't get into the
happen.
meeting?
It didn't happen, so I'll have to talk to Deb, see if I can get a late edition added on.
Okay.
That's okay.
So it missed last month's and didn't get, we had plenty of time last month. It just didn't get on there?
Well, it was approved in the February meeting to go
Right.
before the board. The
Right?
board's meeting was the following week. It
Right.
didn't get in that meeting.
Everything has to be submitted by Thursday or Friday. But we missed it, is that what you're saying? Okay, we don't need another motion then.
Well, we'll get it on this Tuesday's meeting, right?
All right.
Okay.
Try to.
I don't think so, no.
All right, the next item is the St. Mary's request. And I'm not up to speed on what it is. I know it's for Miles Kimberly Park, but
So
who has the info?
Gail emailed it out to us.
I'm
Or
sorry?
did you send that to everybody, or was
No,
it?
just to Scott,
Oh,
the St. Mary's request,
Yeah.
the senior,
Yeah.
They do that every year, don't they, Scott?
They've been using Veronica.
It's basically, they want to use it at, use the park, I can't remember the date, but it's for their senior event that they go out and, have a midnight picnics.
Oh, that's, okay, yeah,
Capture the flag.
yeah.
Oh, they're
Yeah.
all-nighter, they
yeah,
call
1
it.
AM to 4 AM.
Yeah, it's like an
I was thinking
all-nighter.
that it was the cross-country event.
Senior night,
Yeah.
so,
So we don't need a letter from them, just,
I have it. I was late getting the last meeting.
I do. Do they have to go to this board for approval for an event? I thought events
I
are,
didn't make any copy.
That's all right.
They've always been in close contact with us. I think with their insurance or something we've had in the past, have we had them use that? There's something a document I thought that they had signed before.
Yeah, just a
I did,
release or whatever.
Yeah,
I did find that use agreement,
okay.
yeah.
This is good afternoon. The parents of senior class of St. Mary's Lake Leelanau would like to request the use of Miles Kimberly Park, June 2nd, between 1 and 4 a.m. for stopping point in an all-night adventure party for our seniors. Parents will be supervising a class of 15 seniors playing capture the flag during this time. The time is estimated due to the timing of previous stops and weather. Thank you for consideration.
what's the date on that letter?
March 5th.
I can make a motion that we approve the letter dated March 5th, 2024, from St. Mary's to use Miles Kimberly Park for their senior event.
And I'll second that. Any discussion?
Is the park one of these parks that indicated close at dusk, or is this a 24-hour?
It does close at dusk, so that's why they bring it up.
Okay.
More, they always say, do this.
Any further discussion? All in
We'd
favor?
notify the sheriff.
I'm sorry?
We'd have to notify the
Sheriff.
department. What's going on.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to the motion? Motion carries. Item 4, MMRMA RAP grant. Commissioner Ross.
Yes, so we've been thinking about how we can get some of these projects that were identified as potential hazards through the assessment that was done last summer. And so I got onto the website, and I think if we're correct in thinking about this, currently at Miles Kimberly Park, there are no chips at the playground area, correct? It's just sand and dirt, roots and stuff. So there's a difference between maintenance at a park or an improvement that would improve the safety for users. So I think since it doesn't have chips, we can say layering however many inches would then meet that criteria that was identified as a potential hazard. So I would like approval to go forward. I've looked at the Don Freerichs and with Miles Kimberly and Charlie, I shared it with them, and between the three of us, we would like to submit a grant that would at least do that, just kind of a baby step towards using these RAP grants. So I think what we need from this group is approval to submit an application for a RAP grant, and then that would go to our next board meeting, because technically we want them to approve it too, the submittal of a grant. And I think I mean, I don't have the bandwidth right now, and I don't think Charlie or Don do, to do too much more than just that one topic right now. And I just kind of like to, test the waters a little bit and see if that's an appropriate way that we could kind of tick off some of the things that we've been trying to do. So
So the grant would be to cover the ground cover and
the ground, what's it called?
the surface?
Yeah.
Engineered wood chips.
Engineered wood fiber is what we would recommend.
And we've got a quote, Charlie, or someone's got a quote for that, I believe, right? For the amount that's needed at Miles, so
It was $32 a cubic yard from Deering's, I believe, but I don't know how many cubic yards we need for Miles Kimmerly, but.
The grant is due on April 10th, so it's pretty, I mean, we need to approve it today to move this forward in time to meet the deadline.
John?
I'm not against it, and I think it's a good idea. And
First,
if Dana wants to word the motion in so many words, make the motion to apply for such and such.
I would like to move that the Leelanau County Parks and Recreation Committee approve submittal of a MMNRA grant, RAP grant, to provide engineered, whatever, what's it called? Engineered wood fiber at Miles Kimberly Park in the playground area,
Support.
April 10th.
So we have a motion and a support. Any more further discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. So just follow up, Gail, that would need to be on the Board of Commissioners meeting next week.
I don't think that has to go to the board if it's not that much money.
That was a discussion we had about whether they need to approve sending in a grant.
Read and reread the policy, and it's not there, but it's been common practice. So I just kind of want to cover all my bases, because I can't imagine them saying no, but I don't want anyone to come back at me and say, we didn't follow the proper process. So I
It'll
can
be
get,
next month.
it'd be too late for next. It'd have to be on March. I'll talk to Deb. It's my fault.
Okay.
So, yeah, don't,
So are you requesting the approval from
this
this
group.
commission?
Yeah.
to go-
We agree to go ahead with
To
it.
submit to the Board of
Yeah.
the Board of Commissioners?
Maybe we could add if needed, I guess, maybe.
I don't
Yeah.
think we asked it to go in front of the Board of Commissioners, but
Any grant
But that's a
that's
good
got,
word.
any grant that is for the county has been usually approved
that's a good word. Board of Commissioners if
if
needed.
needed.
To submit a grant application. Okay, this is what I have. Okay. Motion to request approval from the Parks Commission for submittal of a grant application for engineered wood fiber for the playground at Miles Kimberly Park. So do you want to put requesting, if necessary, something about if necessary, approval from the Board of Directors?
I don't know if that's in the motion, I guess, I don't know.
I don't think, I think you need to approve it here, and then it will just automatically carry, the next step would be to go to the board.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay,
yeah.
so it's, okay. So we got Ross Noonan seconded. Get all in favor?
Unanimous? Yes.
Nothing.
No?
I thought you were asking for a vote.
No. I've already gotten the vote.
Yeah.
I asked if
Yeah,
all were
fine.
in favor, and they all said yes.
Oh,
I went out of order, John, okay? All right, the fifth item was help for Veronica Valley. John, you wanted to talk about it.
okay, we'll try not to make this one sticky. There's some work we gotta do at Veronica Valley. The sign hasn't been put up for a couple years, and I think Scott went out and bought some material for it. And also, the split rail fence that was there by the driving range, it's probably 30 or 40 years old, and it's fallen down and it's crumbly, and kids like to jump on it, and someone could do what they're not supposed to do. And Scott can go out and buy that and probably put it under maintenance, but you need to get someone to put it in. And I guess I'd like authorization to go find a contractor to put it in.
Okay.
both items. And it's going to be under all the stuff, and Deb can approve it, but I'll just have to go out and find somebody.
As I have been directed, we must use the county's RFP process.
Oh, no.
I have been directed.
Not everything requires an RFP. A lot of stuff, you can just go out and get a quote. So if we had a quote to go put in a pad and it came back, 3 people said, yeah, I think I can put it in for this. And sometimes we just go ahead with one quote. But an RFP is big stuff. You don't have to have an RFP for everything.
It just depends on the dollar amount.
It depends on the dollar amount.
5,000 or less.
Yeah, so if I found someone that said, yeah, I can do this in a couple of days' work, then I come back to the board or this committee and say, I found, forget who his name, he was gonna look at it. And go ahead and do it. That's what we've been doing for years. So I just want authorization to go ahead and find some estimates and bids to put this stuff up. Or I can do it without approval, just go find
I
something.
hate to shoot myself in the foot, but they would need liability insurance and all that. So they have to meet those standards. So it can't just be Joe off the street.
And he might come back with that and stuff. Joe off the street says, yeah, I'll do it. I don't have insurance, but I'm gonna add $300 to the bid and go buy some insurance. This way they're covered. Like, I was just discussing it when he found out that he had to do that shed over there at some place. The guy already was a contractor, and he went out and did it.
They got $2 million
Yeah.
liability.
Right. We'll cover that, but I need to go talk to some people that can do it. And maybe you know somebody, I don't know.
No, I don't know anybody.
I would love to have something in writing that tells me what the policy is for when and when I am not required to have an
She
RFP.
just mentioned.
And if there's a dollar amount cutoff that says, yes, you have to, or below this, you can get around it, I need that, because I've essentially been told RFP.
Under 5,000, you don't need an RFP.
We'll train you.
Depends who you ask.
Okay?
What's that? Yeah.
And
And you can do things and then get in really
Well,
big trouble for it.
you had the issue of SAVs, well, all right. So for this motion, I guess the motion would have to specify that the cost of installing the rails and the sign will be less than $5,000.
I'm not gonna say what it's gonna be, but I just need a motion to go ahead and
Poke
find a
around.
contractor to do it, and then I'd come back and say I found a contractor.
And if you don't find one for less than $5,000,
Then we'll go somewhere else
Yeah.
or go another route.
So I don't even know if I need a motion to go find a couple bids, do I?
No.
I don't know if you need a motion, but
No, you
consensus
just-
probably, right?
Consensus
Yeah,
should be.
would work.
I just didn't wanna go out and do something. I never heard about this. What do you got planned out there? I just wanna make sure that
That's why consensus would probably.
by a consensus to go find somebody to go do it.
yes.
That's good work. I forgot about that.
Consensus.
Okay, moving on to reports and updates. Miles Kimberly Park Committee, do you have a report for the meeting? Don's not here, so.
Tom's not here.
Okay. Old Settlers Park, we are going back out with an RFP for the gazebo work. I did go out and talk to 4 different contractors about whether they were interested in doing the work. Harriger begged off and said, no, he's already too busy. So that left Casson Contracting, Lebo Construction, and
Corson?
Corson Construction. Now, none of them has said have told me exactly that they will submit a bid. But I have told them that we're going to have to follow the county's RFP and bid processes. I hope that it didn't defer them from or impede them from providing a bid.
It will, just from my prior experience with most of that, it impedes a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. They don't bid on, they don't have time. to
Yeah,
work.
they do. I mean, the biggest project that I worked on was the grub shack remodel, and it ended up being my cousin, and we went through the bid process, nobody bid on it, and then I had to kind of guide them through the whole process, because it's not easy, it's not.
Okay.
But I'm not saying that they won't, but.
Right, so I've now left it with them that as soon as I see the RFP up on the website, because it's not there yet, right?
No.
That I will let them know it's there, and I'll actually download it for them.
Right.
And I'll
And
start
that's-
walking them through the process if I have to walk them, handhold them.
And that's maybe what you have to do, and if you can find somebody that's at least interested in it, and then say, hey, I know this is scary, I'll help you get through the whole process, then that may be the route that has to be taken, just because it is a lot, it's nothing that any of them are used to. There are people that you'll run across. I had a couple people that called me after the RFP expired, and they were, oh yeah, we work with government contracts all the time, our bid's $100,000, and that was not worth it, but.
First of all, it's not gonna be 100.
Right, but that's what they were, once the RFP expired, they thought that it was an open door to get in
okay.
after the, and that you'd have to accept it because you didn't have anybody else to do it, so.
Okay. So that's the update on that. So we'll get that moving as fast as we can. And so now you have something, an issue about the leased property across 616 or 675.
Yeah, so Old Settlers Park, there's this triangular piece across the road that we've given a right of way to the people that live there. I heard kind of hearsay that this new property owner wants to do whatever they want to do to the property because they have an easement. I don't know what the rights are to that property. They can do whatever they want.
No,
So I'm just bringing it before the board. We've already started work.
I don't,
It's that house right
I don't know if there's an actual easement.
there. Yeah, I don't know what the terms of it are.
It would be worth researching because I remember this came up, and I don't know if it's an actual easement. I think it was an agreement to allow access to the property, not a true easement. And if we own the property, they can't touch it. If it is an easement, then they can work within that easement. But that needs
And
to be.
usually an easement will specify a use for the easement, like a utilities right-of-way or utility easement.
Yeah, and I don't remember that right off the top of my head, I'd have to look back, but I believe that was allowed, not a verbal agreement, but a written agreement to allow access to the property across, because it only comes across the very corner of that triangle. It's not like it's, if I remember correctly, but I don't remember an easement myself, but I could be wrong.
If it was an easement, would it have been filed with the recorder?
It'd have to be, if it's a true easement.
Okay.
But it could, yeah, that's a
I want
good,
you to be aware of it.
Yeah.
I thought it was for stands. Wasn't it for stands to get to to his house?
Next door.
Is
It's that one that sits up. If you drive by there right now, there's an excavator out there. And then farther down, they've done some excavating. And I don't know if that's on our property or not.
Okay, I'll call.
What happened was a landscape company was hired to do the work, and they apparently checked online or something, found out it was county property, and then they started calling, and they refused to do the job. So,
Well, that helps. But I'll make a phone call when we get out of here and see if I can dig something up on it. And Steve may know. Steve would be another good one to ask about it.
I've never seen the contracts, but
I remember that since I've been on this board, it's been talked about, and there was somebody that wanted an easement or their driveway did go across that or something, but I think as we talked,
remember that.
they wanted to buy it. They wanted to buy that triangle, and we said, no, just go ahead and keep your driveway where it is, and we'll just, well, I don't know if we can, it was a rigmarole, but.
So there's no action by this group at this time, yes.
Yeah, there is, but
Mhm. Veronica Valley, any update for your park?
Well, we had passed to pay for the Savin, and we found out later that the initial monies that we were appropriating didn't cover the deposit for the permits, which, from what Steve was saying, is that that's been taken care of. So I want to hopefully put that thing to rest. We discussed, of course, the split rail fencing that we discussed, the sign we discussed. We're also in the process of getting out some estimates for a pavilion for our park. And I contacted Elmer's and met with one of their estimators to put down an ADA approved path, which is quite expensive. To go around the ponds, they want $48,000. But that's a 10-foot wide or 8-foot wide path. And it's all ADA approved, so it's got 2% or less grade to it and everything else. So for our 5-year plan, we'll probably try and break that up to smaller chunks if we plan to go that. We're gonna check and probably see if we can get some grants or something to help offset that cost. Other than that, the fishing events are our main focus to get that ready to go.
John?
We also talked that we're gonna move forward with looking into putting a pavilion up. And he mentioned it?
Keith did.
You can expound on it if you want. I'll just-
Pavilion, he called it, yeah.
What'd I call it?
pavilion.
But anyway, John's gonna look into that and might come up and might just do it like a one structure thing instead of going out for engineering and then going out the proposal thing, do the whole thing at once. So we're gonna try to move forward on this thing, and it might get done sooner than we think.
I kind of would like to put a rescue barn on that spot, but that's just a theory right now.
What's a rescue barn?
Find a barn that somebody doesn't want and have that relocated.
Oh,
That's they do it for free, I'd love it.
good idea. And just to let everybody know that our next meeting of this meeting, Heather's gonna be here.
Yes, Heather, and probably, I don't know if she'll have anybody with them or not. Alan might be with her up too.
Might be, but that should be on the agenda
For next month.
For next month. There should be a line item for Heather.
It is.
Well,
Is this pavilion in the conceptual design plan that you have for the existing plan?
oh yeah.
It's in the 5-year plan, yes.
It isn't?
Yeah,
Okay.
and the paths are too, just the surprise on the estimate was a lot more than I thought it would be.
How much grading work do they need to get everything less than 2%?
There's a few, I want to say there are probably mounds that were from dredging the pond that they would have to be taken down a little bit. But it didn't sound like it was a major process. But it's more the cost. And if we're going to go for an ADA grant, then it has to be in the guidelines of that path being 10-foot wide.
Correct.
And so if we go for ADA grant, then it's like, well, do we want to spend that kind of money or go without the ADA grant and make it a narrower path?
The 5-year plan essentially says as much as possible to make all facilities at the parks ADA compliant.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I understand that, so that's an expense.
Anything else for
That's it.
Veronica Valley? Okay, moving on, any public comment? Go back to that, okay? Any staff comment from Gail?
Nothing.
Scott?
Yeah, I will not be here for the next meeting, so if you got any questions, call me, email me before then.
Okay. Jerry gonna come in?
Jerry?
Yeah, he's your boss, hasn't he?
I can have here if you really want.
Any commissioner comments? Oops.
I've been searching minutes to find you the answer to your question, and it's so frustrating, you guys. I mean, we have 24 pages of minutes, and it should be in the agenda. I cannot locate it. I apologize.
What is it you're looking for?
If the BOC said yes to rolling over our budget from one, Gail, is there an easier way for you to find it, or? Just-
No, I remember that discussion, but yeah, I would have to go back online and look through everything
Isn't
too.
that a Lautner question? I mean, it was her.
She's not here, so yeah, I was trying to find it, but I'm just not seeing a motion, a line item on the agenda or a motion follow-up. There are some minutes not in yet, but
One if it's in your budget, executive meetings, or the budget.
I looked.
Oh,
I looked. No, I mean, it was recent. It was like last month or possibly
2 months ago.
January, so January, and I'm not.
Yeah, it was
not
2 months ago.
I don't know. It's so frustrating, you guys.
Any
Because there
other
was a lot of
commissioner comments?
discussion on that.
John?
I have a commissioner comment. Commission, is this a commission or commissioner?
Parks and Rec Commission.
What the heck?
Way to go.
No.
I put it
Say
on
no.
silent.
2024 and everybody can't remember to put it on silent.
This one is for Gail. Several of our meetings over the past couple of years, we talked about these RFPs. A present RFP was written by a lawyer, and it's 27 pages long. And it says that contractors have to have, you don't have to write this, 3 years of experience. He's got to furnish so many jobs that he's done. He's got, his help also has to have 3 years' experience.
All the resumes.
Huh?
The resumes.
Yeah, oh yeah, and they gotta all submit a resume. Gail, that's ridiculous. We gotta get these RFPs.
It's not her
She's
fault.
Nothing to do with it.
Well, you're,
But she could work.
you can work on that. These are the ones, we're gonna have, we spend the money where this stuff goes out. And this is one committee that does it, and there's other ones. But you gotta help us out on these things. We can't get any bids, we can't get nothing. They won't bid on stuff. They don't have the time to sit there and get those resumes to put in a little $5,000 concrete pad and then this guy's gotta spend days doing it. So he just says, go fly a kite, but those aren't the words he uses, but, it's terrible.
You need to talk to the Board of Commissioners.
Well, yes, but I think Gail can help us and lean on it. We just can't go out for bids to do little stuff. When you sit there and you're in front of the Board of Commissioners, tell them this has got to change. We got to do something like private enterprise does. They also got to swear that they don't have any business with Iran or something. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there. It is. Did you see it?
Not that line item, no, I didn't.
It's
see
in
that.
there.
I read that, yeah, I read it.
It is.
Non-collusion affidavit.
Yes.
It has to be notarized.
Yeah. And he's got to take time off of his work to do this stuff.
Yeah. It's like a day-long project to get through that whole thing for any normal, like, regular run-of-the-mill contractor, because none of them have ever seen any of that before. And that's what happened on that Grub Shack project. There was a couple of them that were interested in it. They looked at that and no, thank you, walked away.
No,
from it.
I'll shut up after this, but on the road commission, we spend $8 million a year, and we can spend it fast. When we go out for bids, it's do this, show me your search, show me that, you got insurance, and we go get quotes. We didn't ask whether he bought his truck from Iran, or did he have 3 years of experience and his health too and all that. You can't find anybody that stays on a job 3 years.
If it wasn't such legalese, it would be easier.
And it's all I'm sure it's all coming from the lawyer, it's not coming from us.
Contractor at all times during the term of this agreement shall maintain insurance that meets the requirements of Leelanau County's Board of Commissioners policy on insurance requirements. A copy of said board policy is attached, instead of just saying you need $2 million liability.
Right, that's what we do. We had a short form contract and a long form contract. And the short form contract was a couple pages. And-
That sounds like maybe where we should go, like certain project, dollar amount, only you
Well,
need
if you're building
this.
this Gov Center,
Totally you want that.
then you want that.
Yeah.
But a short form contract should just be, did it?
Give me your insurance and give me your builder's license and go to.
Yes.
Well, I will look into where we tackle that problem.
Yeah, I want her to help too.
Gail can, but.
She's got,
I had no say in that.
No, but, yeah, we want your blessing though.
Gail, we just need you to help and support us.
I'll find out.
All right. Keith, any further comment?
You don't?
John Walter? Casey?
No.
This, my only last comment is for the, given that we have a budget constraint that we have, I'd like to get a handle on what projects we realistically think we're gonna be able to get done this year and start knowing what that number is, so when we come up to the June timeframe or the May timeframe, that I'm possibly able to go in and ask for an amendment to our existing budget, if I know that we're gonna blow past it, or want to blow past it. And then in June have a better handle on what to put in the next budget. I looked at the documents that you submitted. There was $14,000 line item in there that you had said was our estimate for putting another park plan together.
Mm-hmm.
The line item in the budget for consulting services didn't go up a dime. So somehow we were supposed to take that 14,000 out of the 18,000 line item that was there from the previous several years, where we were normally spending 14 to 15,000 a year for that item already.
Right.
It's nuts, there's no money there. So
That's true.
that's where I would like to get, where we have a pretty good handle on where we can go financially.
Yeah.
So that's my comment there. This whole thing with the RFP, I started going out getting contractors like we talked about, and then I went and sent a question about where do I have them submit their proposals to? What address do they mail them to? Wrong question.
Everybody gave you a different answer?
Well, I got 3 different answers, but I also then said, no, you can't do it that way. You have to have you have to use the RFP process. And that's where I got essentially directed and mandated that, no, you will use the RFP process. All right, so that's my last comment. I would accept a motion to adjourn if anybody wants to make one.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We got done in 1 hour.
Is Steve on vacation?
3 months ago.
Is Steve Christensen on vacation, do you know?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I just see his truck.